Amdeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakam Mitamscha Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Press. First I offer my respects unto the lotus feet of my initiating spiritual masters and the recruiting spiritual masters and advanced Vaishnavas. Next I offer my obeisances to my Shastra Gurus, Srila Rupa Goswami, his elder brother Srila Sanatana Goswami, Srila Raghunathas Goswami, and Srila Jiva Goswami. On a higher platform, I offer my respects unto Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who came with his paraphernalia and associates. Along with those great personalities, Sri Nityananda Prabhu and Sri Advaita Acharya. And in the highest stage, I offer my obeisances unto the lotus feet of Sri Sri Radha and Govinda, and all of the gopis headed by Lalita Devi and Vishaka Devi. Oma Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Applying the soothing salve of Sambandha Gyan, a proper acquaintance with environment, my spiritual master has opened my inner eye and thereby rescued me from the darkness of ignorance. Fulfilling my life's aspirations, I offer my respects unto Sri Gurudev. Vancha kalpataruvyaschа kripasindhuvyaevacha patitanam pavanevyo vaishnavevyo namo namaha. I bow down unto the holy feet of the pure Vaishnavas, who are like desired trees, able to fulfill all the devotees' aspirations. The Lord's devotees are comparable to a vast ocean of causeless mercy. As they deliver the fallen souls from material existence, I offer all respects unto them. Vrindaya tulasi devyaya priyaya kesavasya Krishna bhakti pradevi satyavatya namo namah. I eternally offer my respects unto Sri Vrinda Devi, Srimati Tulasi Maharani, who is the dearmost object of Lord Keshava's affection. I bow down before Satyavati, who can bestow pure dedication unto Lord Krishna. Sakala Vaishnava Pare Mora Namaskar, Ite Kichwa Parada Nauka Amara, Oyachenu Vem Prabhu Jakta Bhaktajan, Vandana Kuryami Savarachana. I respectfully bow to the lotus feet of all the Vaishnavas, praying that there is no offense in my attempt to please them. To all Vaishnavas who have been, and all Vaishnavas who shall be, I offer my obeisances to their lotus feet. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Dandavat, dear devotees. Today we will continue reading the divine words from the holy mouth of our guardians. Today, before reading the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrta, we're going to read about the holy month of Kartik by Srila Bhakti Raka Srila Goswami Maharaj. It's an excerpt from Holy Talks from the book Sri Chaitanya Saraswat, Volume 1. So for this, I'm going to share my screen with you guys so that you can read along. Just one moment. Okay, here we are. Good morning, Q. Nice to see you here. Ashvini, Varuni, Kirtika. Kirtika is the name of the third daughter of Daksha. Oh, Jaya Srila Bhakti Raka Srila Goswami Maharaj ki Jaya. Jai, holy month of Kartik, ki Jai. Ashvini, Baruni, Kirtika. Kirtika is the name of the third daughter of Daksha. It was a custom in Brajamandal to name one's daughter after one of the daughters of Daksha Prajapati. So, Radharani's mother's name was Kirtika, and Radharani is called Kartiki, in the sense that she is born from Kirtika. So, regarding the holy month of Kartika, Sanatan Goswami has given the clue. Masanam Marga Sirso Ham. Krishna says, of all months, the month of Marga Sirsa, November, December, represents me. Kartika precedes Marga Sirsa, or Agrahayan. So Kartika month, therefore, has some reason to be conceived of as representing Radharani. As Krishna represents Marga Sirsa, it can follow that the goddess representing the preceding month, Kartika, represents Radharani. Kartika month is a month of the vow known as Urja Brata. Urjesvari is also a name of Radharani. Urja means resources. All resources culminate in her. She commands all the resources. The Shakti, power, or resources are commanded by her. So the vow followed in the month of Kartika, known as Urja Brata, goes ultimately to the connection of Urjesvari, Sri Radhika. And thus, Vaishnavas lay stress upon the observance of Kartika, especially with the aspiration of satisfying Radharani to attain her service and the service of Krishna. We are also told that in that month, the gopis observed the worship of Katyayani with the internal aim of satisfying the Devi, goddess. Nanda Gopa Sutam Devi Pati Me Kurute Namaha. That was their internal prayer to the Devi Yogamaya. Please, manage in such a way that we can have the service of the son of Nanda in our own hearty way. Without prayer, the Kartika Brata was observed by them. So we also lay some special stress on the observance of the last portion of Chaturmasya, known as Kartika Brata. And that is exclusively connected with service of the gopis, Radharani and Krishna. And Srimad Bhagavatam also comes to encourage us in the line of the gopis, worship of Katyayani. With that spirit within, we observe the last month of Chaturmasya more attentively. Jai. Srila Bhakti Raka Gurudev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai. Essentially, these months of Kartika, as we read, are representing Krishna. And Srimati Radharani and her associates are accepting more service than usual. So it is our duty to engage in service and engage others if we can in service. It's the perfect time of the year to practice Krishna consciousness, remembrance, and a surrender mood, and of course, service. Service to the Vaishnavas, service to Guru, service to the Lord. So it's a very auspicious time of the year. We must serve the Vaishnavas. So we must serve Guru, we must serve the Lord in the proper mood. All right. Now let's try to please our gurus. Let's try to please Shri Guru Gaura Chandra, Giriraj, you, Tulasi Maharani, by reading Sri Chaitanya Charitamrta. And we're actually reading something really, really interesting and beautiful. Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj described it as an auspicious vibration that describes the absolute truth. That is what we're reading. Chapter number 2 of the Adi Lila, Volume 1. Jaya Shri Chaitanya Charitamrta ki Jai. Jai Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj ki Jai. Jai A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Daita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktavrinda. Okay. So, quick recap. Chapter number 2 describing the absolute truth in its different gradations. Srila Prabhupada was illuminating with us the impersonal Brahman realization of the absolute truth and those who are trying to attain that realization. Then, Srila Prabhupada illuminated with us the Paramatma realization and those who are trying to attain that realization. And then, Srila Prabhupada, through his purport, is helping us understand who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the ultimate goal of life, the Bhagavan realization, and how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is none different by the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. And Srila Prabhupada, in the purport of text number 24, was quoting the different scriptures so that we can understand who Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is. So, let's continue with text 23. Parabhimite Vaishya Narayanam Nama Sat Aishvarya Purna Lakshmi Kanta Bhagavan. Lord Narayana, who dominates the transcendental world, is full in 6 opulences. He is the personality of Godhead, the Lord of the Goddess of Fortune. Text 24. Veda Bhagavata Upanishad Agama Purna Tattva Janrikahi Nahi Jandra Sama. The personality of Godhead is He who is described as the absolute whole in the Vedas, Bhagavatam, Upanishads, and other transcendental literatures. No one is equal to Him. Purport. And this is a long purport. Let's read it. There are innumerable authoritative statements in the Vedas regarding the personal feature of the absolute truth. Some of them are as follows. Number 1, from the Rig Samhita, Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam Sada Pashyanti Shurayaha Diviva Chakshura Tatam. The personality of Godhead Vishnu is the absolute truth, whose lotus feet are all the demigods are always eager to see. Like the sun god, He pervades everything by the rays of His energy. He appears impersonal to imperfect eyes. Number 2, from the Narayanatarva Shira Upanishad. Narayanat eva samutpayante Narayanat pravartante Narayani prayali yante atanityo Narayanaha Narayanaivatam sarvam yabhutam yakcha. Sound is back? Yes. Sudodevae ko Narayano Nadityo Kashit. It is from Narayana only that everything is generated. By him only that everything is maintained. And in him only that everything is annihilated. Therefore, Narayana is eternally existing. Everything that exists now or will be created in the future is nothing but Narayana, who is the unadulterated deity. There is only Narayana and nothing else. 3. From the Narayana Upanishad, Jattaha Prasutta Jagataha Prasutti. Narayana is the source from whom all the universes emanate. Number 4. From the Haya Shisra Pancharatra Paramadma Hari Devaha. Hari is the Supreme Lord. And number 5, from Srimad Bhagavatam, Narayana Viddanasya Brahmanaha Paramatmanaha Nistamarhata no Bhaktum Yuyam Hi Brahma Vittamaha. O best of the Brahmanas, please tell us of the position of Narayana, who is also known as Brahman and Paramatma. Stitiud Baba Pralaya Hetura Heturasya Yarisbatna Yagara Sushus Tishu Sadbahischa Dehendriyasu Hirdayana Charantiyana Sanjivita Nitade Abehi Param Narendra. O King, know him who is causeless and yet is the cause of creation, maintenance and annihilation. He exists in the 3 states of consciousness, namely waking, dreaming and deep sleep, as well as beyond them. He enlivens the body, the senses, the breath of life and the heart, and thus they move. Know him to be supreme. Text number 25. Bhakti Yoga Bhaktapaya Yanghara Darshana Suryayena Savriga Hadekya Devagana. Through their service, devotees see that personality of Godhead, just as the denizens of heaven see the personality of the sun. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead has his eternal form, which cannot be seen by material eyes or mental speculation. Only by transcendental devotional service can one understand the transcendental form of the Lord. The comparison is made here to the qualifications for viewing the personal features of the Sun God. The Sun God is a person who, although not visible to our eyes, is seen from the higher planets by the demigods, whose eyes are suitable for seeing through the gliding sunshine that surrounds him. Every planet has its own atmosphere according to the influence of the arrangement of material nature. It is therefore necessary to have a particular type of bodily construction to reach a particular planet. The inhabitants of earth might be able to reach the moon, but the inhabitants of heaven can reach even the fiery sphere called the sun. What is impossible for man on earth is easy for the demigods in heaven, because of their different bodies. Similarly, to see the Supreme Lord, one must have the spiritual eyes of devotional service. The personality of Godhead is unapproachable by those who are habituated to speculation about the absolute truth in terms of the experimental scientific thought, without reference to the transcendental vibration. The ascending approach to the absolute truth ends in the realization of impersonal Brahman and the localized Paramatma, but not the Supreme Transcendental Personality. Text 27. Gyanna Yoga Marge Tanre Bhajaye Sava Brahma Atma Rupe Tanre Kare Anubhavam. Those who walk the paths of knowledge and yoga worship only Him, for it is Him they perceive as the impersonal Brahman and localized Paramatma. Purport. Those who are fond of mental speculation, jnana marga, or want to meditate in mystic yoga to find the absolute truth, must approach the impersonal effulgence of the Lord and His partial representation respectively. Such persons cannot realize the eternal form of the Lord. Such persons attain a level of the absolute truth, but not the ultimate goal. Text 27. Upasanapade jani ishvara mahima ataeva surya tandra diyata upama. Translation. Thus, one may understand the glories of the Lord through different modes of worship, as the analogy of the sun illustrates. Thus, one may understand the glories of the Lord through different modes of worship, as the analogy of the sun illustrates. Text 28. Say Narayana Krishnera Svarupa Beda Ekai Vigraha Kintu Akara Vibeda. Narayana and Sri Krishna are the same personality of Godhead, but although they are identical, their bodily features are different. Text 29. Inhottadvi bujjat inhodarek chari hatta inhobenudare tinho chakradika satam. This personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, has two hands and holds a flute, whereas the other, Narayana, has four hands with conch, wheel, mace, and lotus. Purport. Narayana is identical to Sri Krishna. They are in fact the same person manifested differently, like a high court judge who is differently situated in his office and at home. As Narayana, the Lord, is manifested with four hands, but as Krishna, he is manifested with two hands. Text number 30. Narayanastavam nahi sarvadehinam admasyadi shakila loka sakshi Narayano ingam narabu jala janat tachapi satyam nata vaiva maya. O Lords of Lords, you are the seer of all creation. You are indeed everyone's dearest life. And you're not, therefore, my father, Narayana. Narayana refers to one whose abode is in the water born from Nara, Garbhoda Kashayi Vishnu. And that Narayana is your plenary portion. All your plenary portions are transcendental. They are absolute and are not creations of Maya. We're going to read the purport of text number 30, and then we're going to continue with Charitamrta the day of tomorrow. Purport. This statement, which is from Srimad Bhagavatam, was spoken by Lord Brahma in his prayers to Lord Krishna after the Lord had defeated him by displaying his mystic powers. Brahma had tried to test Lord Krishna to see if he were really the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If he was really the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Playing as a cowherd boy, Brahma stole all the other boys and their cubs from the pasturing grounds. But when he returned to the pastures, he saw that all the boys and cubs were still there. For Lord Krishna had created them all again. When Brahma saw this mystic power of Lord Krishna's, he admitted defeat and offered prayers to the Lord, addressing him as the proprietor and seer of everything in the creation, as the super soul who is within each and every living entity and is dear to all. That Lord Krishna is Narayana, the father of Brahma, because Lord Krishna's plenary expansion, Garbhodakshaya Garbhodakashayi Vishnu, after placing himself on the Garbha ocean, created Brahma from his whole own body. Mahavishnu in the causal ocean of Kshirodakashayi Vishnu, the super soul in everyone's heart, are also transcendental expansions of the supreme truth. Jai. Shri Chaitanya Charitamrta ki Jai. Jai Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj ki Jai. Jai Om Vishnupada Shiva Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki Jai. What we're reading is kind of very technical and full of philosophical wisdom. Sambandha again. Proper acquaintance with the environment. That is what Srila Prabhupada is giving us through his illuminations of Srila Krishna Das Kaviraj verses and the several scriptures quoted. Thank you for your tolerance. We're going to read now Centenary Anthology, the pastimes, glories, and teachings of His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Raka Srila Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jaya. We're reading chapter 2, Transcendental History. Yesterday we literally read all the difficult Sanskrit Bengali names of the entire family of Srila Guru Maharaj. But it was worth it because now we came to the understanding where is Srila Guru Maharaj coming from. He came from a really scholar and refined family. We heard the childhood pastimes of Srila Guru Maharaj, the adolescent pastimes as well, and when he was in college. When he was in college, he wasn't really interested in reading the books that his teachers were asking him to read to approve his classes. He instead preferred to read the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrta and Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. But even though he didn't study for his exams, he would pass them no problem. Whereas his classmates, who were really good scholars, didn't pass those exams. So Srila Guru Maharaj was an intellectual, refined intelligence, incredible memory for sure. And he was so attracted to the teachings of Srimad Mahaprabhu. So, let's continue reading Transcendental History, Chapter 2. Once, when Srila Guru Maharaj went to Giridit at Bihar, he delivered a lecture at the barrister's library there. After the lecture, a gentleman came forward and weeping, he said, "We used to think that our ancestors were fools and that we have now become civilized by the association of British. But today, Maharaj, hearing you talk, we cannot but feel how great we were and how low we have fallen. Our ancestors were so great, and now we have fallen to such filthy garbage." This is so interesting because the tyrants take advantage of our ignorance. And when someone comes and opens our eyes and gives us light and destroy the darkness of our ignorance, we can no longer accept the tyranny that is ultimately coming from within. On another occasion at Giridi, at a conference, the president of the conference, a learned scholar, one Mr. Basak, remarked after hearing Srila Guru Maharaj's speech, "We thought for so long now that Vaishnava Dharma was a branch of Hindu religion. But today, Maharaj, after what I have heard from you, with your sound argument and scriptural evidence, we know now that the Vaishnava Dharma is the original religion, the Jaiva Dharma of all religion of all souls, and all others are only the misconceived portion of the original." This is going to be so helpful for when we're speaking to others who are who are asking curious questions about what is Vaishnavism, what is Krishna consciousness, what religion are you practicing, or what faith do you belong to? And since there's this popular terminology related to Hinduism, they're gonna ask, is Vaishnavism Hindu? Etc., etc. So, we can remember this paragraph from this book. And I'm gonna read it again. On another occasion, at Giridi, at a conference, the president of the conference, a learned scholar, remarked after hearing Srila Guru Maharaj's speech, "We thought for so long now that Vaishnava Dharma was a branch of Hindu religion. But today, Maharaj, after what I have heard from you, with your sound argument and scriptural evidence, we know now that Vaishnava Dharma is the original religion, the Jaiva Dharma, and religion of all souls, and all others are only the misconceived portion of the original." So what is Vaishnavism? Is the original religion of all souls, is the religion of the heart. And all the other ones are just a misconceived portion of the original. In His Divine Grace, Srila Sridhar Maharaj, own words, "This must be deeply studied and considered by the learned section. The Vaishnava Dharma that Mahaprabhu gave is the original Vaidika Dharma. What Srila Ramanujacharya and Srila Madhavacharya gave has completely merged into the line of Mahaprabhu. And what Lord Shankar, Lord Buddha, and Ramakrishna mission have given is all hodgepodge." That is a new term. Please let me look it up. Hodgepodge.
Hodgepodge is like a mixed up.
Like a mixed up.
That don't necessarily go together. Hodgepodge is kind of like America, like all the different could be considered like a hodgepodge.
Oh, okay.
They used to call it a melting pot, where everything melts together. This is unrelated. Now
Okay.
they call it the salad bowl because everybody maintains their own, which is kind of better. Anyway, but hodgepodge is like a mixed.
So hodgepodge is a mixture of things.
They don't necessarily go together.
So, what Lord Shankar, Lord Buddha, and Ramakrishna mission have given is all a mixture. It's all a hodgepodge. It's not conclusion. It's not truth. It's a mixture of some things which have something of truth, but it's not truth. Sambandha Jnana is a great thing. Then there is a Videya and Prayojan. These are the essential three stages of the whole theology. Once in Bombay, Srila Guru Maharaj gave a lecture at the Theosophical Society. The subject of his talk was the super excellence of the teachings of Sri Chaitanya. The president, in his introductory lecture, spoke the age-old dogma that all religions are one and the same. When Srila Guru Maharaj took the stand to speak, he said, "It is a very regrettable that I must first, in order to speak on my subject, announce that I completely disagree with the president, because to even enter into my subject, the prerequisite is the comparative study in theology." Wow. That was the personality of Srila Guru Maharaj. And I've heard from Sudarshan Prabhu quote Srila Guru Maharaj the following idea: "The quality of a man is in function of the quality of his ideal." So we can see what a quality of a personality Srila Guru Maharaj was. And he still is, but in his body. Back then in his pastime when he first took sannyas and was preaching all over India, that he will defend the ideal of Vaishnavism and the conception of Srimad Mahaprabhu without problem, without fear of being disapproved or dismissed. That is something to meditate upon. We must have an ideal and defend it. So this president in that conference was like, yeah, all religions are one and the same. And most of us, when we don't have really a strong connection to or a strong faith to what we believe in, we tend to say, yeah, all religions might be one, all religions are one, yeah, the important thing is love, whatever. But in this case, Srila Guru Maharaj is giving us the example. After the president said that all religions are one and the same, then Srila Guru Maharaj immediately. It is a very regrettable that I must first, in order to speak on my subject, announce that I completely disagree with the president, because to even enter into my subject, the prerequisite is the comparative study in theology. I have come to speak on not only the excellence, but the super excellence of the teachings of Sri Chaitanya. Therefore, I am bound to show the subject of my delivery by surpassing all the lower stages of soil. So, in order to have your attention, I am bound to first point out the president's gulf of difference in his opinion with me. Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojan. First, we shall make these three divisions. Sambandha, relationship, will mean to first separate all other religious conceptions except from the Vaishnava Dharma as given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Krishna conception, the others all being concerned with only Brahma conception, Paramatma conception, etc. Abhideya is the means to the end, that we can hear from Sriman Mahaprabhu to Vijnana Shunya Bhakti, devotion unalloyed by intellect. Shura Bhakti, pure devotion in Sadhu Sangha, association of the true devotee. And Prajojana, or the goal, is Prema. Jai Sriman Mahaprabhu. And Prayojan, or the goal is Prema. But not Mukti, liberation. Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha, religiosity, economy, material desire, and liberation. These are not the goal. Only Prema, Seva, loving service to Krishna is the supreme goal. Just imagine me in that room, first thinking that what the president said, that all religions are one and the same, was considered to be truth, and then just seeing a young sannyasi, Srila Guru Maharaj, for the first time, I'm hearing him speak this. Just imagine that. There's gradation in everything, and Krishna consciousness can actually be approached absolutely scientifically. It's systematic knowledge. It's not a hot patch. It's not a mixture of things. It's systematic knowledge. So, for those who are trying to understand the Krishna consciousness systematically, so that it can be put in practice every day, these three things that Srila Guru Maharaj is sharing and illuminating are super important. And what are those three things? Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prajojana. Sambandha is a relationship, meaning to first separate all other religious conceptions except for the Vaishnava Dharma as given by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Meaning knowing how to discern Krishna consciousness or Vaishnava Dharma with all the other conceptions like Brahma, impersonal Brahman, Paramatma, etc. Second, Abhideya, which is the means of the end. How are you going to get to the goal? And in this case is Jnana Shunya Bhakti, devotion unalloyed by intellect. Sura Bhakti, pure devotion, and in Sadhu Sangha, association of the true devotee. And then Prayojana, the goal, Prema. That is the goal. Prema Seva, loving service to Krishna. And something changes. Our perception on this civilization, on reality changes when we hear this. That the actual goal is Prema, is love, is connection, is service towards the supreme source of reality. Instead of religiosity, economy, liberation. Then we see other conceptions in a different way. When we ask them, hey, what is your goal? What is your goal? What is your goal according to your conception? When you don't hear love, connection, and service, then you can understand that there's a different gradation, a different understanding of reality from those who are trying to attain those different levels of realization, meaning other religions, other goals. So yeah, Sambandha, Avideya, and Prajojana. Super important to remember for us that we're starting our spiritual path. And also it's going to help us to distribute and share and be utilized by your gurus when sharing Krishna consciousness outside the temple. Seeing Srila Sridhar Maharaj's sensitive, rich Sanskrit writings, his Gurudev referred to him as a fit person to continue my spiritual succession. Seeing his keen scriptural insight, his Gurudev also adorned him with the accolade Shastra Nipuna Sridhar Maharaj, or scriptural genius Sridhar Maharaj. On another occasion, his Gurudev also referred to him as Niveditatma, or a pure soul fully surrendered unto the Supreme Lord. Just prior to departing this world, he was fully satisfied to hear Sri Rupa Manjaripada, his most beloved song of the deepest divine service, from the lips of Srila Sridhar Maharaj. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada, by virtue of this action, clearly illustrated that Srila Sridhar Maharaj is his chief successor, preceptor, and representative of Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who is the foremost preceptorial apostle of Sri Chaitanya Dev. After the departure of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada, Srila Sridhar Maharaj founded the Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math in 1941. At that time, it was no more than a thatched hut on the banks of the holy river Ganges. At that time, Srila Sridhar Maharaj composed this beautiful Sanskrit verse. The verse is a mysterious prediction telling of the universal renown the Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math was to know in the future. Srimad Chaitanya Saraswata Matta Vara Udgita Kirti Jaya Shrim Vibrat Sambati Ganga Tatta Nikata Na Badvipa Koladri Raje Yatra Shri Gaura Saraswata Matta Nirata Gaura Gata Grinanti Nityam Rupanuga Shikar Mati Guru Gauranga Grathar Jitasha. In the holy abode of transcendental touchstone, Shri Navadvip Dham, the self-same Shri Vrindavan, in the land of Koladvip, whose inner identity is the king of mountains Sri Govardhan, near the charming shores of the holy river Bhagirathi, who delivers all the fallen souls, stands the grand and glorious king of all temples, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math. In that beautiful retreat, the surrendered devotees, whose lives are the message of Sri Gaura, are eternally absorbed in the loving service of the Divine Master. the golden Lord Gauranga, and the loving Lord Sri Govinda Sundar, with his consort Srimati Gandharva, accompanied by all their beloved associates, with hearts always filled with good hope to attain the grace of the Lord, following faithfully in the line of Sri Sri Rupa and Raghunath, the storekeepers of the unlimited treasure of pure sweet love divine, those surrendered souls ever seeing the unending glories of the transcendental name and qualities of the most magnanimous, original Supreme Lord, Sri Sri Gauranga Sundar. Indeed, the hearts of all beings, moving and still, marvel in the glory of Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat, as they take shelter in the soothing, affectionate shade of the victory flag that flies aloft, and sings wholeheartedly to the world the ever-expanding renown of Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat. Bearing that banner of all transcendental benedictions, Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat ever shines resplendent in all its divine magnificence. Rendered into English by Tridanti Bhikshu Sri B.A. Sagar from the Bengali translation of His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj. We just read the mysterious verse that predicts the future of Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat, and that expresses how exalted Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat is. And I remember that Srimati Shileka Didi quoted Srila Guru Maharaj that Gaudiya Vaishnavism is very different from Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat. Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat represents all those refined siddhantas or conclusions descending from Srila Rupa Goswami and Sriman Mahaprabhu. Shall we keep reading? Oh, we're almost done with chapter number 2. Yeah. Just 2 pages left. Srila Srila Maharaj, after the departure of his Gurudev, naturally became anonymously honored as the most exalted representative of the Gaudiya succession, although he always, and openly so, considered himself as junior. By their request, he conferred the holy order of sannyas upon many of his exalted eminent godbrothers, including Srila Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshava Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Aloka Paramahamsa Maharaj, and Srila Bhakti Karma Madhusudana Maharaj, Srila Narasimha Maharaj, Srila Bhagavat Maharaj, Srila Acharya Maharaj, etc. During a circumambulation festival at Vrindavan, Srila Bhakti Saranga Goswami Maharaj, the most senior preacher and disciple of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada, personally worshipped Srila Srila Maharaj with 108 lamps and incense, etc., on the occasion of Srila Srila Maharaj's appearance day. Srila Goswami Maharaj performed this function, joined by many of his disciples and other godbrothers. The godbrother of His Divine Grace Srila Srila Maharaj, His Divine Grace Sri Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada, was, of course, the personality to inundate the Western world by cultural and spiritual tidal waves. From 1965 to 1967, he single-handedly transmitted the original teachings of Krishna consciousness in a global proportion. His Divine Grace Srila Swami Maharaj Prabhupada was unprecedented, magnificent divine phenomenon in himself. Yet, we heard from him personally, and history has recorded it, that he had only about 10 days of association with his Gurudev, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada. But he had long and intimate association from his time of initiation all through, with the most intimate of all his godbrothers, Srila Sridhar Maharaj. Later, when Srila Guru Maharaj was over 80, thousands of persons from all over the world took the pilgrimage to Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math in Navadvip, India. He accepted some thousands of persons from all over as his disciples. Srimati Shileka Didi is one of those examples. Shri Padnyasi Maharaj is another one example. Srimati Divya Shakti Didi is another example. They all took initiation from Srila Sridhar Maharaj. Isn't that crazy? And he handed their charge over to his intimate attendant and associate servitor, and his personally selected successor, Acharya Dev Sri Srila Bhakti Sundar Govindadev Goswami Maharaj. It is indeed the greatest fortune for the world that at the time of this printing, Srila Govinda Maharaj, since 1992, has now completed his 5th world tour, preaching the religion of humility, selflessness, and tolerance. It is the fulfillment of the heart's desire of our beloved Master Srila Guru Maharaj. As I mentioned in the beginning, the ocean of the pastimes of Srila Guru Maharaj is unlimited. How many drops of that ocean can mere sparrow extract? In this world, time is not on our side. Ordered by my Gurudev, I have tried, in my own random way, to present some of these drops of honey for the bumblebee devotees of the Lord. I pray there is no offense in my doing so. If I do not try, that will also be an offense. Whoever hears the nectarian divine pastimes and teachings of Srila Guru Maharaj cannot but attain the supreme wealth of life itself, love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Before closing this chapter, 2 other indecencies suddenly come to mind. After the disappearance of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada, there were major struggles. They were always resolved and harmonized by Srila Guru Maharaj. Srila Guru Maharaj was loved by all. Once during that period, a very learned devotee personality who was considered an adversary of Srila Guru Maharaj came to visit him. In fact, he had the habit of visiting Srila Guru Maharaj quite often. That day, Srila Guru Maharaj asked him, "You are supposed to be a member of the oppositionist party to me. Why are you always coming here to see me?" That devotee personality immediately replied, "Because of your disinterested nature, super intelligence, and a strong common sense." Srila Krishna Das Babaji Maharaj often visited Srila Guru Maharaj birthplace, Srihapaniya. He will ask the villagers, I'm sorry, I'm going to read again. He will ask the villagers, people who live in a village, did Sridhar Maharaj study at a school here? Did he bathe in this pond here? And so on, and so on. One day Srila Guru Maharaj asked him, "You are my god brother. Why are you so often visiting my birthplace? What is the reason?" Srila Babaji Maharaj replied, "Because your writings are none different from the writings of Srila Rupa Goswami. So I am going there to take the dust of the land of your pastimes on my head." Jaya Centenial Anthology, Ki Jai, pastimes, glories, and teachings of His Divine Grace, Srila Bhakti Raka Srila Goswami Maharaj, Ki Jai. So, by the grace of those devotees who put this book together, we are understanding what Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Math is and who Srila Guru Maharaj is. Indeed, is someone that is above our head. He's a completely different soul. He's a Vaishnava. And he has been very merciful to us. by founding Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat, by preparing Srila Gurudev, Srila Govinda Maharaj, and by giving us all his lectures, all his talks, all his books, all these conclusions, is inconceivable that we are coming in touch with these personalities and we're coming into his shelter and he's accepting our service. So let us always remember who Srila Sridhar Maharaj is. Let us always remember what Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat represents. And let us always be very, very careful in our attempts to serve these exalted personalities. Yet, they are very, very merciful to us. They are very loving to us. They are our guardians. And if we're here, it's because they were very merciful to us. So, Jai, Om Vishnupada Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Jai, Om Vishnupada Srila Bhakti Raka Srila Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai, Jai, Om Vishnupada Bhagavan Srila Saraswati, Srila Bhakti Santa Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. And Dandavat pranams to Jagannath Priya Prabhu. What a pleasure to have you here, brother. And Gagadhar Prabhu. Dandavat. Hari Haraye Nama Krishna Yadavaya Namaha Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namaha Gopal Govindaram Shimadusudana Giridhari Gopinata Madana Mohana Shri Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Chandra Gadadhara Srivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Jaya Rupa Sanatana Vata Raghunatha Shri Jiva Gopala Vata Rasa Raghunatha Echai Gosai Kori Charana Vandana Jahote Vinana Shavista Purana Echai Gosai Jaramui Tarada Sata Savara Pada Renu Mora Panchagrasa Sadira Charana Seviva Chasaniva Sadana Mejana Memora Yavilasa Echai Gosai Jave Vraje Koilava Sarasa Krishna Nitya Lila Korila Prakasha Anande Vulu Harivaja Vrindavana Shri Guru Vaishnava Parema Jai Jamana Shri Guru Vaishnava Para Padma Koriya Sahari Nama Sankirtana Kote Charitamrta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nitai Gora Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gora Hari Bol Nitai Gora Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Nitai Gora Hari Bol. Jai Vishnupada Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Vishnupada Srila Bhakti Raka Srila Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Vishnupada Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Santa Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Shri Rupanu Guru Varga Ki Jai. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Ki Jai. Jai Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Ma Ki Jai. Jai Shri Chaitanya Saraswat Mission Ki Jai. Jai Kolkartils Ki Jai. Vaishnava Mandala Ki Jai. Acharya Vrinda Ki Jai. Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari. Dandavat to all the devotees who tuned in this morning. Jagannath Priya Prabhu. Dandavat Gagatar Prabhu Ki Jai. Dandavat. See you tomorrow. And remember, it's the month of Kartik. We must do seva. We must do seva. Atmani Vedana Duyapade Kori Oinu Anmanasuki. Time for self-giving, everybody. Haribol, Jai Mahaprabhu, Jai Gurudev.